Hey guys, welcome to Digit.in, and what we have for you today is a 55-inch 4K HDR TV from Kodak called the 55UHDXSMART. Now, this TV is also available in 49 inches and 43 inches, but what we have for you today is a 55-inch variant priced at 28,999 rupees to be precise, or as we're going to refer to it in this review, a 55-inch 4K HDR TV under 30,000 rupees. Now, the 30,000 rupee price point has become a really sweet spot for TVs if you are interested in picking one up, be it from the 43-inch screen size going all the way up to 55 inches. You get TVs in Full HD, 4K and HDR from a wide variety of brands, bringing with them a wide variety of features, and some of them are actually bringing a great operating system in the form of Android TV OS. This TV is running on AOSP. We're going to talk about more about that later, but let's kick things off with the build and design now. Traditionally, we've seen that budget TVs have compromised on the build and design, keeping TVs a little thicker. Of course, we know about that Xiaomi really slim TV, but that's again at 55,000 rupees. It's nowhere close to the 30,000 rupee price point. But here the TV is thick, it's traditional, it's fine, it's what you'd expect from a TV at this price point. However, there are a few good things about the build and a few bad things. So let's get the good out of the way first. The feet of the TV, especially if you're going to tabletop this TV, are really nice. They're strong. They have this carbon black color. They feel like metal. They feel really sturdy, and they hold the TV high enough that you can actually place a soundbar or a gaming console, your set-top box, and any other things that you have in front of it without worrying about the space. So that's a really good thing. A lot of TVs we've seen give you a little less height, which makes you putting it in front of your entertainment center a problem, but this TV gives you a good amount of height. That's nice. Having said that, the build quality does feel cheap at certain places. We're going to try to show you the little flex it has in the top left corner in this unit that we received, which led to some light bleeding from the back of the TV. So if you were behind the TV in the top right corner, you could actually see some of the light bleeding there, which leads us to believe that the build quality of this TV isn't really great. So don't move it around too much in your house. If you're buying it, just plonk it on one table or hang it on one wall and you should be fine. Speaking of the connectivity options, this is another area where we're pretty happy with the TV. It's got 3 HDMI ports. HDMI port number 3 supports ARC as well. You have 2 USB ports and good old antenna out here. At the back, you have 2 AV inputs. You have the Ethernet port, you have a headphones jack, and you have the left and right, the red and white audio source as well. So when it comes to connectivity options as well, this TV is quite plentiful. Now when it comes to the performance, this is where the TV actually takes a big hit. Now it is a 4K TV and an HDR TV. So let's try to break this down and show it to you while we're talking about it. You have the ability to not only control HDMI 2.0 functionality, which is needed for 4K HDR content, you can manually switch it back to HDMI 1.4 as well, which will give you full HD content if you have a external source like a Fire TV Stick 4K or an Xbox One X. However, you also have the ability to control the HDR ability. So if you are, let's say, in HDMI 2.0 settings, you can also go back and switch HDR on and off. But we're going to talk about 4K HDR content playback on this review in just a second. Let's get the basics out of the way. If you're going to watch content from your Tata Sky set-top box, you should be fine. We didn't face any problems. Most of the content is either standard definition, high definition, or full HD, and all of that content, quality of content should be fine for you, no problem. It is when you want to enjoy movies and music, which is where you will face a problem. Now, with movies, if you have an external device like a 4K Fire TV Stick which supports 4K and HDR, or in our case, we had the Xbox One X, it isn't the best experience for 4K and HDR. Now look at this clip from Altered Carbon, which is on Netflix in HDR. The scene has a good mix of dark and bright, and the dark just looks really dark. I mean, we even went back into the settings and changed the HDR on and off, and all that did was messed up the colors, and we had to actually go deep into the settings to try to fix the colors, which is another good thing about the TVs. You do get access to things like backlighting, the brightness, contrast, saturation, and more settings. So if you are someone who can really tinker with the settings of the TV, great for you. But out of the box, switching to HDMI 2.0 to get 4K HDR and then switching the HDR off gave us a lackluster experience. It did brighten up the image, but the colors were all off. Changing the preset modes didn't help a lot either. The best experience we got with a 4K HDR source was when we downgraded to HDMI 1.4 settings, which in turn led us to watch this content in HD, and that is when it looked fine. So what's the point of having a 4K HDR display when you are going to watch content only in full HD? Makes you want to reconsider a buying decision for this TV now, doesn't it? Having said that, that's the biggest problem with this TV, and it even reflects in games. Now, a game like Doom, which is in 4K and SDR, we had to actually keep the HDR feature of the TV on and switch it to HDMI 2.0. And then we got really good colors from a game which is in 4K and SDR. But switch to a game like Gears 5, which is the new benchmark for us when it comes to 4K HDR gaming of a console. And as you can see, everything is really dark when you switch on 4K and HDR on this TV. You actually have to go back and switch the settings to SDR or go back to HDMI 1.4 to actually get an acceptable gaming experience. And this is actually the biggest pain point of this TV, is if it claims to be 4K, it should at least be able to give you the 4K without having to compromise on the colors. I mean, 4K and SDR would have been a fantastic option out here, because let's face it, the HDR capabilities of this TV aren't really that great. Coming to the UI, it's running on Android 7 out of the box, but it's again AOSP. So if you play a trailer from YouTube on the TV using the native app, and then you connect something like a Fire TV stick or an Xbox or a Chromecast and play the same trailer off YouTube, it is a noticeable difference. We have two trailers playing out here. One is of course the new Scooby-Doo movie, the Angry Birds movie. We played it off the native app on the TV and the Xbox, and we noticed a difference when we played it off the Xbox in terms of the quality. So yeah, you aren't getting the best out of the box app experiences from the TV. Another problem we faced with YouTube was, for the life of us, we couldn't sign into the YouTube app. So if you watch content like game trailers which are intended for mature audiences, you won't be able to do that through the native app. So, and the UI is the same that we saw on the 43-inch Kodak TV quite a while ago, so it's not like they have revamped the UI way too much. Yes, some of the settings have been tweaked for you to access, but overall the home UI is the same. Now, something that's going to give you a laugh, and this is about the UI of the TV, is this. Now we're going to hold this on your screen for a couple of seconds to let you read it, and let's see if you can identify the really nice spelling mistake that's made out here. This is in the UI of a TV. You don't expect the UI of a TV to have a spelling mistake like this. Anyway, that's what it is. The remote control is standard, it's simple, it's plastic, it gets the job done. The buttons are nice and rubbery, but you do have to point it in the direction of the IR receiver of the TV for it to work seamlessly. That's standard, what we accept at this price point. So having said that, should you consider buying this TV for 30,000 rupees? Well, if you want a TV just to watch your standard set-top box content, or you have a full HD Fire TV stick lying at home and you want to enjoy content of that, then yeah, I mean, this TV works. But then again, there are full HD TVs available at the same price point in the market, which bring with it a few different features. Because they're full HD TVs, they may bring with them some other features as well. But if you want a TV for 4K content, HDR content and gaming, then you are going to have to look elsewhere, because this TV's performance for that isn't really the best. I mean, the HDR performance, subpar for us. The 4K performance is good as long as it's an SDR. So if you have Netflix, you have a lot of shows that will show you Ultra HD 4K in the tag, and if you watch those, they're fine. If you watch full HD movies of these external streaming devices, they will also look really fine. Some of them, in fact, Mission Impossible looked actually pretty nice on this TV. But then again, it's an HD movie, and like we said, off Netflix, we had the HDR feature on and HDMI 2.0 on this TV. So there you have it, guys. That was our review of the Kodak 55-inch UHD-XSMART TV. As always, you can let us know what you thought of this review in the comment section below. And for more from the world of technology, you can subscribe to our channel.